When I'm not getting rowdy with my brother after a sick goal or an epic save in Rocket League. I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. My question for next time, do you ever comb your hair? I think the answer to this question is rather obvious. I feel like the concept of a comb just kind of like evades me. I know that some people like keep a comb in their pocket, and I feel like that's like a real 60s, 70s thing to do. I don't know. So have never really combed my hair since I became an adult. But I'm excited because a company in San Francisco reached out to me and they said they're going to send me a bunch of hair supply products to demo on the channel. And I am beyond excited to get that. So stay tuned for some interesting hair demo reviews coming in the near future. All right, so I got a question. Being a Tool fan, I want to support them, but I primarily listen to music on my phone. Is it wrong to download it, sketchy, or buy a CD and burn it to iTunes? You can answer here in the next video. Now, this is kind of a tough question to answer. Now, first of all, I'm a huge Tool fan. I love Tool. I actually own all the Tool albums, which isn't hard to do because they haven't released an album since streaming even became a thing. So all the old Tool albums are still the only Tool albums. But it will be interesting to kind of see what happens because they haven't allowed their music to be streamable. And even me, I stream pretty much almost all my music. Like I'll even stream music that I own just because I want to kind of keep the space on my phone and stuff like that too. But also too, it's just kind of like a totally different era. And that's why, I mean, I would never begrudge Tool for not having their music available on YouTube or streaming or whatever because it's, you know, it's their property. They can do with it as they please. But there is kind of like a component that like this is just where we are now and everybody streams. So, you know, you might as well put it up. I know Prince was like the same way. While Prince was alive, his music wasn't available to be streamed anywhere. And as a result, I never really listened to Prince. But just a couple weeks ago, they put his stuff up on Spotify and Apple Music. And I actually kind of dig some Prince now. Now, I don't like mainstream Prince, but some of the deep cuts of Prince are actually kind of awesome. And I never thought I'd like Prince because I kind of had the wrong impression of his music. But again, the ultimate way to support a band that you like is just to kind of like give them revenue and support in the ways that they kind of will let you know how they want to be supported. A lot of bands just give all their music away for free, or they'll let you name a price of what you want to pay. And as long as you maybe like come out to a show and see them live when they're in town and support them, I mean, they're happy with that. But it's definitely like a different era. And I've always kind of been conflicted on that. Like a lot of my friends, like when, you know, like LimeWire and like Napster and stuff was out, they would always download music. And I always kind of thought that like, that was like a little messed up. Like I would never like really judge any of them, and that's cool if that's what they want to do. But I always tried to like buy the albums if I could. In fact, even just like a year ago, I was still like buying CDs. But yeah, now I've pretty much made the switch fully to just streaming. I'm actually using Apple Music, and I kind of feel like I should switch to Spotify because very few people that I know use Apple Music, and it seems like everybody uses Spotify. So I don't really know what the advantages or disadvantages are because Apple Music is the only one I've known. So if you guys have suggestions one way or another, I would love to hear about that. OMG, is that myth still running? Blues is a universal feeling, and the sooner you'll get that, the better. Your statement is ignorant, generalizing, and not least, very naive. So we've arrived at our Salty Blues comment of the week, and I swear to God, it is getting harder and harder for me to distinguish which are actual comments from people who have been agitated and which are people who are just kind of trying to get on the comment section. But blues being a universal feeling, I think is something, you know, I am admittedly ignorant and naive about. Almost like if you can use blues as like an adjective, just like you can like other emotions, like universal emotions, like happy or sad, like I feel blues. I just feel like I'm missing out on that. So, you know, in a lot of ways, this guy is right because I always thought the blues was a genre of music, but apparently it's a universal feeling that somehow I have missed through a great misfortune of my own not being connected to the universe. So I'm going to do a lot of meditating to kind of think about this and to try to feel blues and try to just become part of the communal blues atmosphere that this guy says I'm missing out on. Are you a full-time YouTuber? You know, I'm not, but I think I have the potential to maybe someday be. I kind of feel like right now I'm about like a third of the way there to being able to kind of like arguably have a living wage off of just YouTube. But honestly, too, like, what I do is just kind of like I teach private guitar lessons, I do the YouTube thing, and I've got like a recording studio, so every now and then I'll pick up projects. It's definitely not like a for rent recording studio, but certain projects I'll kind of help out with. But like I absolutely love what I do. So even if I had the money to coming in to be a full-time YouTuber, I definitely would always teach privately because I think it's just such a cool connection you can make with another person. And like I love my students. I'm like part of so many families. I get so many free dinners per week. It's like ridiculous. And I mean, I got a pretty awesome life. I love that YouTube is supplementing it in a cool way. And I definitely feel like I put the hours in where it could almost be considered full-time. But you know, that's kind of like a soft goal, so to speak, to be a full-time YouTuber. But I'm pretty pleased with the progress. And again, I love you guys. I love all of the support. Keep it coming. And as always, you know, give me feedback and stuff on what you like and don't like. I know last week I kind of floated that question out, and I heard a lot of good things. So yeah, keep them coming. How tall are you? I'm 6'1", but a lot of people tell me that my stature is befitting a man of 6'2" or 6'3". So there's that. Hey Sean, I read somewhere that it was bad form to only have your wrist moving and that you should move your whole hand instead. I'm a beginner to guitar, so this may sound a bit stupid, but what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, so hand movement, wrist movement, arm movement, all these things kind of play a role when you're like strumming a guitar. And especially at first, you want to kind of like use a lot of your arm because it just kind of feels natural. But as you get better, you kind of like lock your arm down, or in my case, there's really, if you can make it sound good and it's not hurting yourself, there's really not like a wrong way to do it. But just the way I do it, it's really just a lot of wrist, and actually the thumb joint actually plays a bigger role than I ever would have thought when I was kind of like learning, as far as like kind of like working on tighter strokes. Like if you notice, like my elbow is kind of locked, so there's definitely not a lot of this going on. Now, if you go to like a live show sometimes, and you see some guy playing like rhythm guitar, he'll be like, I'm not a big fan of that, the kind of like cowboy campfire type thing. But if it works for you, that's fine. You know, I just think you're really kind of like losing out on a lot of the dynamics of an instrument. But I do understand that sometimes in a live setting, playing an acoustic guitar, you kind of have to go full volume all the time. But for me, it's really just kind of like arms locked one way or another. Even if I'm standing, I kind of have my elbow locked in, and then really just kind of here. Because there's so much wasted movement if you go down around the string set. Like even, you wouldn't think it would make a huge difference, but if you go down here, there's just like an inch too far that you're going, that makes a big difference in the concept of like trying to stay in time at like quicker tempos and stuff like that too. So really, the length of my stroke when I'm strumming is really just the length of the string set. So that's just something that comes with a lot of practice. You know, it's great to be thoughtful about it, but it's really hard to just zero in on being able to hit like, you know, 2 strings, 3 strings, 4, 5, 6 right away. It's just kind of getting into it, playing a bunch of chords, finding a rhythm that you like, and then slowly over time recognizing like, oh, maybe if I move my thumb joint a little bit, I can kind of be more efficient with my stroke too. So using your wrist definitely isn't a bad thing. I mean, you'll see some great guitar players, like it just almost looks like they're just like shaking hands with somebody the entire time. So again, just find what's comfortable. Make sure you're not getting any like hand fatigue or you're not hurting yourself in any way, and then just keep going at it. All right, so for listening homework, I'm going to throw you to this awesome song by this guy named Thundercat. If you don't know Thundercat, he's like a fantastic bass player and an awesome producer that I'm sure has had his fingerprints on something that you've liked in the past. If you want to just like all music him, you'll see a lot of work that the guy's put in. This song is featuring Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald. And you might be like, what is this? But it's like an epic slow jam. And my favorite part of the song is how he takes time to introduce his featured guests within the song. After he introduces himself, it's like, it's your boy, Thundercat. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Loggins. For whatever reason, I love it when musicians do that and that's part of the song, even though it's kind of lame. But definitely a great slow jam. So check out some Thundercat. The new album's fantastic if you like that kind of thing. And as always, hit me up with your questions and comments on Twitter, Instagram, the website, or the comment section, and I'll talk to you soon.